Welcome to a Q&A video. This week I'm going to answer some of your questions that you asked me on Instagram stories. I'm doing this because I'm close, or maybe at this point I've passed 100K. So thank you so much for supporting this channel. Thank you for watching the videos. When I first started this channel, I never really thought that it would turn into something serious, but over the last couple months, it's pretty much become my full-time job. So thank you so much for supporting this channel, watching the videos, and allowing me to make photos. There's so many more video ideas that I have, and I'm really excited for the future of this channel. I'm gonna answer some of your questions. There are so many different questions in here. They're all great. They're covering a ton of different topics. So I'm gonna try to cover at least the majority of the topics that are asked about in here. Maybe grab a drink because this is probably gonna be a longer episode, so I hope you enjoy it. This is a pretty good question to start with. If you could choose one camera to work with, what would it be? It definitely would be the Mamiya RZ67 for me. I'm not gonna talk about that camera, but I do wanna talk about the fact that for the last year, or maybe even 2 years, all of my work, probably 95% of it, has been made with the Mamiya RZ67 and a 90mm lens, which is not specifically that camera that's done anything special, but the idea of just having one camera that I shoot the majority of my work on has been probably one of my favorite things I've done. I highly recommend, if you do find one camera that works well for you, just stick with it, keep shooting with it, learn kind of the ins and outs of it, what it does well and what it doesn't. I think that's been one of the most key things for me in making better work, is just finding a camera that I like and sticking with it. It was so easy early on for me to get caught up in different focal lengths of lenses, what film formats I should be shooting, you know, whether I shoot portrait, this, blah, blah, blah. When really just having one setup that keeps all of my work consistent is really super valuable to me. How many plies on a roll of toilet paper? I'm gonna skip that one. What drew you to the RZ67 when you first bought it? It was just the fact that you could focus really close up with it. So just for portraits, that's really a nice thing to have. I definitely started in photography with doing a lot of portraiture. That's what I was kind of initially drawn to, although I've moved away from that quite a bit recently. I do want to get back into it. Thoughts on Carhartt sponsoring you? Yes, please. Any tips for creating a zine? I would say just have a nice topic or an idea that the zine is centered around. The first zine that I ever made, which I never really put out anywhere, was like a portfolio style zine, and I definitely wouldn't do that again. So yeah, just try to make a little project that's about an idea or a specific place. I think those are some of my favorite zines that I've made, but that's my personal opinion. You can do whatever you want, which is the beauty of photography. Do you ever shoot photos that come out terrible? Yes, I shoot a ton of terrible pictures. I recently went out to New Jersey, shot a couple night photos. They didn't come out at all. I tried to edit them in a way that was super bright, where you could see everything, and that really just wasn't actually what it looked like in real life. So I was trying to capture something that really didn't exist. So I ended up making the pictures really dark, and I actually really liked them after I did that. I ended up calling this little mini series Too Dark because the pictures were too dark, which I'm pretty proud of that name. I don't know if I'm gonna keep making these intentionally now, but I actually like the look of a couple of these, so I might keep going with this, we'll see. Do you have any upcoming photography projects? I don't really have any that I plan to release quite yet, but I have been starting some different things now that I'm getting pretty far in with that New Jersey project. I think I'm a little worried about finishing that project and not knowing where to go from there, so I'm starting to figure out some new things. I started a nighttime photo project out in Brooklyn, documenting kind of the industrial areas because they're pretty interesting areas right now. There's a lot of change and gentrification happening there, so I thought it would be cool to document those. And I've been doing that at night when it's really quiet, and as you guys know, I just like photographing during the nighttime for a lot of different reasons. So I think those pictures are looking pretty cool, but it's at a very early stage, and there's a lot more that I want to do with that project. I do have a couple projects that I want to do in the future that involve a little more traveling. Would you ever shoot digital photography like you do film photography? Let me show you. I recently bought a Fuji Xpro2, which is a digital camera. I talked about this before. I think I actually talked about buying this camera in my last Q&A, and now I do own it. I've been trying it out, just seeing how I like it, purely because I feel like I should be shooting the modern equivalent of the medium of photography. I kind of felt frustrated that I wasn't confident with digital photography. Like, I never want to be stuck with just one medium, you know? I never want to be that guy who can only shoot good pictures if he shoots on this film stock or if he shoots this kind of camera. I really want to be able to take a good picture with any kind of camera, so I'm really figuring out my digital workflow. I will make a full video shooting photos with this camera in the future. I bought a 35mm lens with it because it's pretty much equivalent to what I shoot with on the RZ. And the thing that drew me to this camera was the fact that the rangefinder is analog, so it feels a little bit less like a digital camera in the way that you shoot it, but obviously you do get digital files. I'll do a full video on this, shooting it, comparing it with my normal style of shooting. I definitely won't be switching to digital fully anytime soon, but I do just want to know, for the sake of myself as a photographer, that I can be confident shooting with any kind of camera, so that's why I picked this up. The one thing I really like about it, as I mentioned, is the analog rangefinder, but there's this little switch right here that you can hit, and the analog rangefinder switches to a digital rangefinder, which is very nice for focusing and things. But yeah, this camera's been pretty good so far. At the end of the day, a picture's a picture, so how do you get paid to shoot pictures is a good question. When I first started, I was looking at the people I already knew to get paid for photography, and maybe they just weren't the right people, so I got pretty frustrated with not making money off of photography. But I think once you find the right people who actually consistently need photos and they have budgets is when you'll start making money. I'm not personally somebody who tries actively to make money with my pictures. I make money with things like YouTube, freelance video, and freelance editing. Those are my three main sources of income. I do a decent amount of paid photography, but not enough to where it could be my job. That's also not really what I enjoy doing with photography. I think I would rather make money some other way and just keep pictures as like a fun thing rather than something I'm dependent on for money. Night photography on 35mm film, is it possible? It definitely is. I should be doing some of that in the future, but it's just like any other camera. As long as you expose the picture right and find a good scene to photograph, then there shouldn't be an issue. How much do you spend per month on film? It definitely varies a lot. I have recently just started developing and scanning at a photo lab because I've started just shooting a lot more film, and that just gives me so much more freedom to do things like make YouTube videos and shoot more photos because a lab is doing all that processing. Also, this wasn't one of the things I realized while I was doing a lot of my scanning myself, but when you give your photos to a lab, somebody who has years and years of experience scanning photos is scanning your work, and the colors that I get from lab scans are just way better than anything I could ever scan myself. Do a tour of your space. I will do a studio tour very soon. It's just not very finished in here. I don't know, and it's also really small. People don't realize how small it is. Every time I have somebody here as a guest in the space, they come in and they go, oh, this is way smaller than I thought. And yeah, that's Manhattan rent. But clearly it's enough for the videos, and it's nice to just not have to do this in my tiny little apartment. How do you get past writer's block in photography? What keeps you motivated? I don't know, I have times where I'm not very motivated and I just don't take pictures. I don't really try to force anything. If I am really just feeling uninspired, I'll go out for a night walk and just photograph whatever I come across. Usually the best thing to do for me is to just get outside with a camera, and once I'm out there, it's pretty easy usually to start making pictures about something I'm interested in, wherever it might be. So will you ever do another run of the Coney Island zine? No, I probably won't do another run of the Coney Island zine, but I will have other projects coming out in the future. How do you get your photos to look so soft? I think you're referring to the light maybe in the pictures. Golden hour or blue hour or nighttime, all really great light. I also like overcast light. I love shooting in winter time when it's snowy. Are you as huggable as you look? Chill out there, Josh. Wow. Do you think about a photo trip in Europe? I do want to take a lot of pictures in Belgium. I have some cool ideas. I just need time and I need to get out there. Where do you buy your photo books from? A store in New York City called Dashwood Books. They have an incredible selection of books if you are in New York City. They just have such an incredible curation. They always get new things before anyone else gets them. You can tell them you like a certain style of work and they'll give you 50 other books that you might like. They're like a way better version of Amazon, to be honest. No, I definitely recommend checking them out if you are in New York. It's Dashwood Books. How old are you? I am 20 years old. I don't really like to talk about my age because I feel like there's a lot of judgment when people hear that somebody is younger than they thought that they were. But yeah, I'm 20. Which camera do you use for your YouTube videos? I've filmed all my videos up until this point on a Sony a6300, which I think I bought for 300 bucks used. I feel like it's such a misconception that you need an expensive camera to make nice videos, but really it comes down to things like audio and lighting, I think. The Sony a6300, I think you can get it on eBay for 300 bucks and it shoots 4K, the footage looks great. Yeah, good camera. How come you never shoot in black and white? That's a pretty good question. I think color is just a big part of my work. It's a lot of what I appreciate about photography is nice colors. But I did shoot a lot of black and white in college because we had a black and white darkroom. So I shot a ton of photos in there. I still have a ton of black and white prints sitting at home, which is really nice. I really enjoyed black and white, but once I kind of left school and had the liberty to shoot color, I just never stopped shooting color.